You can't afford to retire without a shopping list because most people think that saving money is enough. But what you buy with that money matters just as much. And the wrong decisions could affect you for years to come. If you don't make these investments now, you'll spend your retirement trying to solve problems that could have already been solved. Hello, my name is Jason Byance. I'm a former analyst and certified financial planner, and my goal is to take this complex world of retirement planning and make it a little more simple and sensical. So today, we're going to go over the 9 things to buy before you retire. Now, this is all in regards to preparing for retirement, and it reminds me of a trip I took several years ago. A group of our friends saved up, and we really wanted to go to Hawaii. So we took this trip to Hawaii, and then one day there was a small group of us, there's 4 of us that wanted to go on a hike. And we got some snacks and some waters and we went on the hike. And as we started to ascend, what we realized was we ran out of our snacks pretty quickly and we ran out of water eventually. Now, thankfully, as we were about halfway up the hike, we ended up finding some wild pineapple. One of my buddies is a former Army veteran. And so, of course, he had a knife on him and we were able to chop up some fresh wild pineapple. And it gave us some hydration and it also gave us, obviously, some sustenance. Later on, we actually found some passion fruit. And so, luckily, we found those things, but we were just horribly unprepared. We did not bring enough water. We did not purchase enough snacks. And I'll be honest, I didn't do enough stretching. I didn't get my body involved because on the way down, I really pulled my Achilles tendon and it really affected me for the rest of the trip. So you don't want to do the same thing in retirement. You don't want to go into retirement, go on that trip, go on that journey without preparing, without buying the things that you need. All right. So today we're going to go over these 9 things that you need to buy before retirement so you can avoid that headache. So the first one is buy a home. So why do I say buy a home? Well, a lot of retirees end up selling their home and moving somewhere else for 2 main reasons we see. One is to downsize. They've got a large house and they just don't need that much space anymore. The second is they want to get closer to family, whether that's children, grandchildren, friends, siblings, whoever that may be. And so a lot of times it makes sense to buy a home while you're still working. And why is that? Well, you still have your income and you can still qualify. So you have more purchasing power while you're still working to buy that home. Now, in some situations, if people have the money, especially when interest rates are high like they are now, you can make the case to buy the house cash if you have that. But a lot of people just don't have that ability. So that's where we want to say, hey, let's look ahead. If there's a chance that we may be buying a house in retirement, it may make sense to look at that before we retire. So the second thing to buy or really invest in retirement is home repairs. One of the big home repairs that we see people encounter in retirement is a leaky roof, and nobody wants water inside of your house. And something else, especially here in Florida, that we deal with is a lot of homeowners insurance companies will not insure your home unless your roof is newer, unless it's only a certain amount of years old. So if you may think you may need a new roof in the next couple of years, it may make sense to really look at purchasing that while you're still working to kind of get that expense out of the way. And especially if you're going to be doing any financing of that roof, while you still have your income, you're still able to qualify for more preferential interest rates and whatnot. The other thing that we often see is air conditioning units. So air conditioning units a lot of times can have a pretty long life. But if yours is coming to the end of its useful life, you may want to look at replacing that while you're still working. So you're not surprised by such a large purchase before you or during retirement, I should say. Some other things that I see people investing in or buying in terms of home repairs or kind of home renovations is a whole house generator. Again, especially in Florida, we deal with a lot of hurricanes. And so that may make sense to go ahead and invest in that again while you still have income coming in. Other things that we see people investing in is remodeling, whether it's remodeling the backyard or remodeling the bathroom, remodeling the kitchen. And especially with the backyard and the kitchen, you're going to be retired. You're going to be spending a lot of time there. there. So, those are ways that you can, make retirement a little better, a little bit more enjoyable. And if you can get those behind you, okay, those big expenses, if you can get them behind you, then you're not going to be surprised. And you end up, there's a psychology to it. It's the psychology of retirement, it's the psychology of spending money. If you're like most people I know, you're probably pretty frugal. So, if you have these big expenses looming over you, you may not want to go on that trip. You may not want to spend those other things in retirement that you enjoy. So, if we can get those out of the way while we're still working, a lot of times it can give us more freedom in retirement to really spend the money and enjoy what we've spent a lifetime saving. Now, when you're preparing for retirement, you want to be asking the right questions. So, I want to invite you to click the link below, and we would love to send you a free copy of my brother Justin's book, Designed to Last. It's a short read, only about 100 pages. And at the back of the book is a list of questions, the most important questions that you and your family need to be asking as you are approaching or already in this season of retirement. So, click the link below. I'll be happy to send you that free book. So, the third thing that you want to be doing or considering before you enter retiring is to finish health and dental work. So during our working years, we typically have pretty good healthcare, dental, vision coverage. And one of the most expensive ones that retirees encounter is dental work. So if you need any crowns, any bridges, veneers, any of those types of things, it may make sense to go ahead and buy those, to go ahead and purchase that, right? To kind of finish that dental work while you're still on your current plan. This also applies to vision if you need to get any type of cataract surgery or vision tests or anything else that may come up. Maybe you've had a hip that's really bothered you or a knee that just really impedes your mobility. It really, really, really is a good idea to consider getting that surgery while you're still on your employer's health insurance. Because remember, once we get to Medicare age, you may not have the same coverage that you do today. And a really important point is unless you buy additional insurance with Medicare, most of them do not include dental and vision. So you really want to focus on dental and vision before you retire. So the fourth thing that we want to consider buying is the fun stuff, things that have to do with our hobbies and passions. A hobby is really a ticket to joy and to happiness. And a lot of our clients that are really, really happy and really feel fulfilled are the ones that really lean into their hobbies and their passions. So we've got a client that is an amazing woodworker, and he's often, whenever we're sitting down and meeting, he's showing me pictures, and sometimes he'll bring in some of his units of things that he's made. We have a lot of clients that really enjoy gardening, but maybe you like camping, maybe you like golf. I would really encourage you to purchase something that will help you engage in that hobby or passion when you're in retirement. So consider buying that new set of golf clubs or that woodworking equipment. Maybe you want some outdoor gear so you can go on hikes and go camping and go to the different parks that are available to us. But find what your passion or your hobby is, and then go ahead and invest in that equipment so that you have something to really bring you fulfillment and to keep you happy in retirement. So, the fifth thing to consider buying is something really neat, and it's something that the federal government offers, and it's a national park pass. If you're over 65 and for about $80 as of now, it may go up a little bit in years going forward, but for about $80, you can have a lifetime membership to all of the national parks in this wonderful country of ours. Imagine that. Imagine having a free ticket to go to any state and walk into these beautiful national parks for free. And the nice thing about national parks is if you pack a lunch and you bring a football or some things to keep you entertained while you're there, it can be a really low cost way to just enjoy the beautiful nature that God created. So I would highly encourage you to look into buying that national park pass before or even after you're in retirement. The sixth investment that we want to make before entering retirement is investing in a retirement plan. Now, this can mean money, investing in a retirement plan, but it also means investing time and intentionality toward that. We don't want to go into retirement unprepared. You don't want to go into retirement like I went on that hike, okay? Thinking I was prepared, thinking that I had enough to basically sustain me through that journey. But then I ended up finding out I didn't have enough, okay? So, investing in a retirement plan is really, really important because if you have confidence in your plan, you have freedom in your decisions. And, one other thing that I see most often with retirees, especially before they retire, is not only an investment plan, but life insurance. And they say, I really love this life insurance policy that I have. It's going to be able to bless my grandkids. It can sometimes provide me long term care coverage if something were to happen to me, so that I can use those funds for my care. But people often say to me, "I wish I would have done it when I was younger. I wish I would have done it when I had better health." Because as you're younger and you're healthier, things cost less in the world of insurance. So not only investing in the time and the money into a retirement plan, but also considering, should you look at life insurance? The seventh thing that I think we should consider purchasing before you enter retirement is either a gym membership or workout equipment. So this goes back to the psychology of things, okay? Because if before retirement we invest in a gym membership, we really have now kind of an onus or a responsibility, or call it good old guilt, to make us go to the gym, okay? And the same with workout equipment. A lot of people, especially in retirement, just enjoy working out at home. So maybe it's a rowing machine or a treadmill. Maybe it's a set of weights or some of these real new age band contraptions that they have. But whatever you do, be intentional about investing in your health, okay? Because your health is not just physical, it's also mental, all right? And one thing that I've really been reading a lot, my wife is in healthcare, is with retirees, with everyone, but especially with people that are getting older, not only cardio, so not only going on walks and if you can go on a run or a bike ride or rowing or whatever, swimming, whatever it may be, it's also lifting. Okay. Strength training is very, very important in terms of longevity. So, investing in these types of things really kind of springboard you into getting in that habit of staying active, of staying healthy, because then you're able to go run around with your grandkids. You're able to go on that trip. You're able to continue your hobbies, whether that's gardening or fishing or golfing or whatever it may be, pickleball. So I think that's very, very important. And it does so much for your quality of life. Now, the eighth thing to consider buying before you enter retirement is a reliable car. Our vehicles are one of those machines that we just want to work, right? When we get in our car and get it started, we want to get to our destination and get back to our destination without any issue, okay? The vehicle is really just a means to get us somewhere else. And having a reliable car and one that's paid off is huge in retirement. I can't tell you, we've sat down with hundreds of retirees, and the ones that have a vehicle that is paid off, they just have a lot of freedom. They just have less stress. They say, that thing has only got 60,000 miles. It's completely paid off. I love not having a car payment, and it's reliable. I know that every time I want to go somewhere, it's going to be there. So that's a really, really nice thing to get out of the way, right? To purchase that while we're still working, while we still have that income, so that when you're in retirement, you've got that vehicle to take you to all the places that you want to go. And lastly, number nine, and possibly my favorite, is before you retire, book a bucket list trip. Bucket lists are often talked about, but then taking the initiative, taking the action doesn't always happen. So I think that this is one of Probably the most fun things that you can do in preparing for retirement is to one, just dream. Where have you wanted to go? And it doesn't even need to be big. It doesn't have to be to Australia or Japan or Europe. In our beautiful country, we've got such a big, very diverse country. There's so many wonderful places to visit. Maybe you want to go up to the Northeast where there's tons of history in Boston and New York. Maybe you want to go out to Mount Rushmore, go out west to the Rockies or to Yellowstone. Maybe you want to see the beautiful grandeur that the state of California has to offer. But what is your bucket list trip? And then go ahead and book that. Because two things happen there. Number one is it's on the calendar. And when it's on the calendar, we know that it's going to happen. Number two is a lot of times, if you book these things ahead of time, you can save a lot of money. And then, I've had several clients, probably about a dozen, that have told me that they have this habit, and I think it's amazing. Okay. What they do is they go ahead and book that trip. They book the trip, they enjoy it. And on the way back from the trip, again, back to psychology, we kind of have that letdown. I remember when I was a kid, after Christmas, you're kind of like, oh man, it's all over. And you kind of can feel that on the end of a trip, oh, we had planned, we had all this good time, and now we're going back to daily life. Well, on the return flight, on the return train ride or car ride, they plan their next vacation. Now, they may not get all of the details planned out or booked, but they talk about the time and the place. They talk about, when do we want to go again? Is it 3 months from now, 6 months from now, whenever it may be? And where do we want to go? And by doing that, it kind of keeps the momentum and you can continue to do those. And I think it's really, really important to kind of schedule those things because you want to keep that momentum in retirement. You don't want to get in retirement and then just get bored. You go out to the garage and rearrange the garage and then come out to the shed, rearrange the shed, and then we just kind of sit in front of the TV. It can happen very easily. So, planning in this regard can not only get you ahead of the game in terms of retirement, especially those expenses, it can allow you to have freedom to make those decisions in retirement, the freedom to focus on what matters, to do what you want to do, to take advantage of these years. So this list is really, right, looking ahead, thinking about buying things, making investments now while we're still working. And it's really to try to help our future selves. And so I want to encourage you to watch this video right here where I go over the 4 mistakes that retirees often make so that you can avoid them.